Ethan had seen war before, but nothing prepared him for this moment. The air was thick with smoke, carrying the bitter taste of burnt metal and blood. The ground trembled beneath his boots as explosions shook the alien planes. Shards of debris flew across the sky like angry stars, and the cries of soldiers, human and alien alike, echoed in his ears. He was alone now. His unit had been scattered during the ambush. Friends he had marched with only hours ago were either dead or missing. Ethan's rifle hung heavy in his hands, his breath ragged as he searched for cover among the broken rocks. Each heartbeat felt like a drum pounding in his chest, each step like it could be his last. And then he saw her. At first, he thought it was another enemy, a survivor from the alien side. She was different from the others he had fought. Her silver skin glowed faintly, almost like starlight trapped inside flesh. Her hair shimmered in long strands, moving like threads of light. She wasn't aiming a weapon at him. She wasn't attacking. Instead, she was collapsed against a shattered stone wall, her body trembling. Their eyes met. Ethan froze. Her eyes were unlike anything he had ever seen, deep and endless, like twin galaxies swirling with pain and beauty. There was fear in them, but also something else, something human. A silent plea. Before he could raise his rifle, she spoke. "Come inside me, human." Her voice cracked, but her words cut through the chaos around them like a blade. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He blinked, unsure if he had heard her right. The words sounded impossible, absurd even, against the backdrop of war. His hands tightened on his weapon, sweat trickling down his neck. He had expected many things in battle: gunfire, blood, betrayal, but not this. She tried to rise, her body swaying with weakness, and pressed one trembling hand to her chest. And then, something impossible happened. Her skin shifted. Lines of glowing blue light spread from her palm across her body, creating cracks that pulsed like living veins. Slowly, a seam opened in her chest, like a doorway of light. Ethan staggered back, his heart racing. What are you?" he whispered. Her gaze locked onto his, desperate. "No time," she said, her voice both urgent and gentle. "If you want to live, come inside me." Ethan's mind spun, the meaning twisted in his thoughts. It wasn't lust, it wasn't desire, it was survival. He could see it in her shaking form, in the pain etched across her face. She wasn't luring him. She was offering something. The battlefield roared again, distant explosions, the mechanical growls of enemy war machines drawing closer. Ethan looked over his shoulder and saw shadows moving in the smoke. The enemy was coming. His rifle wouldn't be enough. Alone, he would die here. But this alien girl, this strange being, was opening herself to him, offering him shelter, protection, a chance. Ethan's throat tightened. Memories flashed in his mind, the faces of his fallen comrades, his mother's last words before he left Earth, the promise he had made to come back alive. He clenched his jaw, torn between fear and trust. The girl's voice trembled now, weaker, as though she could sense his hesitation. "Please, if you don't, we will both die." He stepped closer without meaning to, drawn by the raw emotion in her voice. He could feel the heat radiating from her glowing chest. It wasn't just heat, it was life, pulsing, beating, inviting. His instincts screamed at him to be cautious, to run, to fight. But his heart whispered something else. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt something stir inside him. Not just fear, not just survival, but connection. He lowered his weapon, slowly, his hands trembling. "You're asking me to trust you," he said, his voice rough. Her silver eyes softened. "Yes, trust me, and I will keep you safe." The ground shook violently as another explosion tore through the battlefield. The enemy was closer now, their shadows stretching longer in the smoke. Ethan's time was running out. He looked into her eyes one last time. And in that moment, despite everything, despite the war, the blood, the madness, he made his choice. He took a deep breath, stepped forward, and whispered, "All right. I'll trust you." Her chest opened wider, light, spilling out like the heart of a star. Ethan's body trembled as he approached, unsure of what awaited him on the other side. But with every step he felt something strange, something powerful, calling him closer. And then with one final breath he crossed the threshold. Ethan felt as if he were falling into light. The moment he crossed the opening in her chest, the world outside disappeared. The smoke, the fire, the sound of war, all of it faded away. For a heartbeat there was only silence, warmth wrapped around him. Not the kind of warmth from fire, but something living, like being held by a pulse, a heartbeat bigger than his own. It was strange, terrifying, yet somehow gentle. He gasped for air, expecting pain, expecting death, but instead, he found himself floating. The alien girl's voice echoed inside him, not through his ears, but directly in his mind. "Do not be afraid, human. You are safe now." Safe? Ethan wasn't sure if that word even made sense anymore. But he opened his eyes. And what he saw left him breathless. He was no longer standing on the battlefield. Instead, he stood in a vast space filled with glowing rivers of light, flowing like veins across endless darkness. The walls around him pulsed gently, almost like the inside of a living being. He realized, with a shiver, that he was inside her. Inside, her protective body shell. Ethan's hands trembled as he reached out, touching one of the glowing streams of light. It was warm and soft, humming faintly under his fingertips. The moment he touched it, a rush of images filled his mind. He saw her homeworld. 2 suns shining over fields of crystal, skies painted with colors he had no name for. He saw her people, laughing, dancing, living peacefully. And then he saw the fire. The ships of war tearing through the skies, explosions devouring everything, her family running, her screams, her loss. Ethan stumbled back, clutching his head. What is this?" Her voice came again, softer now, full of sorrow. "When you came inside, our minds connected. You will see my memories and I will see yours. This is the only way my kind can protect another." His chest tightened. She wasn't lying. She wasn't a trick or a trap. She was showing him everything. Her pain, her scars, her truth. And then suddenly he felt something else. A hand brushing against his own, though no one was there. A warmth pressing into his chest. Her presence. She was inside him just as he was inside her. Ethan froze. You can see me too?" "Yes," she whispered. "Your memories, your pain. I feel them." Before he could stop it, flashes of his own life played across the glowing space. His childhood on Earth, his father teaching him how to fix an old radio, his mother hugging him tightly before he left for war, his friends laughing in the barracks, faces that would never laugh again, the sound of gunfire, the smell of blood, the screams. He wanted to shut it out, to push it away, but he couldn't. She saw it all. She felt it. And instead of turning away, instead of recoiling in fear, she stayed. "You are strong," she said gently, "but you carry so much sorrow." Ethan's throat tightened. He had fought for years, building walls around his heart, hiding his grief behind anger and duty. Yet here, inside this strange being, he couldn't hide. He was open, vulnerable, and somehow it didn't feel like weakness. The space around him trembled suddenly. A deep rumble shook through her body, and Ethan realized it was not over. The battlefield outside was still real. The enemy was still hunting them. Her voice grew, sharper. "They are close. If they find us, they will tear us apart. But if you stay inside me, I can shield you." Ethan swallowed hard. The thought of staying inside her like this, sharing his mind, his soul, was terrifying. But the alternative was death. He pressed a hand against one of the glowing rivers and whispered, "Why me? Why trust a human?" There was a pause. Then her answer came, soft and trembling but certain. "Because when I looked at you, I saw someone who knows loss, someone who still fights even when everything is broken. I saw hope. Her words struck something deep inside him. He had always thought of himself as just a soldier, a survivor. But to her, in this moment, he was more. The rumble grew louder. Shadows of enemy machines scraped against her outer shell. Time was running out. Ethan clenched his fists. He didn't fully understand this bond, this strange merging of souls. But for the first time in years, he wasn't alone. He looked into the endless streams of light, and with steady breath he whispered back, "Then let's fight together." Her voice answered, warm and steady, filling his chest with strength. Together. Inside the glowing chamber of her body, Ethan's heartbeat echoed louder than the rumble outside. The alien girl's presence filled him, not as a stranger, but as something closer, like a whisper inside his chest, like a thread tying his soul to hers. The battlefield had not disappeared. He could hear it through her body. The metallic stomps of war machines, the crackling of plasma fire, the hiss of smoke. Each sound vibrated through her veins of light. They were surrounded, hunted. Her voice reached him, firm but gentle. "I can protect you, human, but I cannot do it alone. To fight, I need your will. I need your strength." Ethan swallowed hard. His training had always told him to trust no alien. Yet here he was, inside, one, sharing his mind, his memories, his fears. And instead of destroying him, she had opened herself. She had given him safety. His hands clenched. "All right," he whispered. "Then let's fight together." At once, the streams of light around him pulsed brighter. Energy surged through the chamber, wrapping around him like armor. He felt his body lift, felt her strength weaving into his bones, her senses mixing with his own. Suddenly, he could see through her eyes. The battlefield returned, but now he stood, taller, stronger. Her silver skin was his shield. Her glowing limbs were his weapons. He wasn't only Ethan anymore. He was part of her, and she was part of him. Outside, the first enemy machine emerged from the smoke, a towering beast of metal with claws glowing red-hot. Its eyes locked onto them, and it charged, shaking the ground with every step. Ethan's breath caught, but the alien girl's voice steadied him. "Do not fear. Guide me." His instinct screamed to raise his rifle, but his hands no longer held one. Instead, his arms glowed, her strength flowing through them. The machine swung its claw, but Ethan moved, and she moved with him. Together, they dodged, the ground cracking beneath the blow that missed them. Ethan gritted his teeth, lifting their shared arm. Light gathered in their hand, burning like fire. He didn't know how he did it. He didn't know if it was her power or his will. But together they struck. A beam of light tore through the air, slamming into the machine's chest. Metal shattered, sparks flew, and the beast collapsed in a heap of smoke. Ethan's eyes widened. We did it." Her voice came, tired but proud. "Yes, we did." But there was no time to rest. More machines appeared, their claws scraping the dirt, their weapons glowing. A dozen of them, surrounding from all sides. Fear clawed at Ethan's chest, but this time he wasn't alone. He felt her fear too, sharp, cold, but controlled. And beneath it, her trust in him. It flowed into him like warmth, calming his racing heart. They fought. Every strike he imagined, she delivered. Every movement she planned, he followed. It was not two fighters, but one, their minds locked together. When pain came, when claws scraped across their body, it burned in Ethan's chest too. He cried out, feeling her agony, and she cried with him, but neither let go. One machine fell, then another, and another. Ethan's body screamed with exhaustion, his muscles trembling though. He knew they were not truly his muscles anymore. Her energy fueled them both, but he could feel it draining, every attack costing her more than she could give. Still, they fought, because to stop meant death. Finally, the last machine lunged at them, its claws raised high. Ethan braced for impact, But the alien girl whispered fiercely inside him. "Now, human, together!" he roared, lifting their shared arms, and they unleashed everything, his will, her power, into a storm of light. The machine burst apart, exploding into fire and ash. Silence fell. Smoke curled around the broken battlefield, and the only sound was Ethan's ragged breathing, mixed with her trembling pulse. Inside, he fell to his knees, clutching his chest. That was impossible. Her voice was soft, almost breaking. "Not impossible. We are one now. Your courage, my strength, that is how we survived." Ethan closed his eyes. He had always fought alone, always carried his pain in silence. But now, for the first time, he wasn't carrying it by himself. She was there, sharing it, holding it. A strange warmth spread through his chest. Not just survival, not just war. Something deeper. He whispered into the silence, "What's your name?" There was a pause, and then her answer came, gentle as a heartbeat. "Lyra." Ethan breathed it in, the name settling inside him like light. Lyra. The alien girl who had opened herself to him, the one who had trusted him when no one else would. And in that broken battlefield, surrounded by smoke and silence, Ethan realized this was no longer just about survival. This was something greater. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke still drifted through the broken ground, and the smell of burnt metal filled the air. The bodies of enemy machines lay scattered, glowing, faintly as their cores died out. Ethan stood inside Lyra's living shell, breathing hard. Every muscle ached, though he knew it was not his body alone. It was hers too. He felt her exhaustion, heavy and deep. It pulsed through their shared veins of light like waves pressing against his chest. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They simply stood there, holding each other's pain in silence. Finally, her voice came softly inside his mind. "You fought well, human. Better than I imagined." Ethan let out a shaky breath, a half laugh escaping. "I'm still alive, so I'll take that as a compliment." Her presence warmed, almost like a smile. But behind it, he felt something else. Fragile, wounded, hidden beneath layers of strength. He had sensed it before, when he first entered her, but now it was clearer. She wasn't just strong, she was lonely. The streams of light around him pulsed faintly, and then images appeared again, not of battle, but of her life. He saw a young Lyra running across crystal fields, her laughter ringing under the twin suns. He saw her family, faces full of kindness and joy. He felt her pride when she learned to shape her protective shell for the first time, her people cheering for her, and then the fire. The ships of war tearing down from the sky, their weapons burning everything in their path. Her people screaming, scattering. Her family crushed under rubble, their voices fading into silence. Lyra's cry echoed in his chest, a sound so raw, it made Ethan's heart clench. He stumbled, gripping the glowing veins beside him. "Lyra, I'm so sorry." Her voice trembled. "This is what I carry. The reason I fight. The reason I hide. There is nothing left of my world. Only me." Ethan closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to lower his own walls. His memories spilled into her, not by force, but by choice. She saw him as a boy, playing in the streets of Earth, laughing with his father. She saw his mother's smile, soft and warm. And then she felt the day the war reached his home, the bomb that shook his city, the night he dug through ruins, screaming for voices that would never answer. His mother's gentle hands, gone. His father's strength, gone. Tears burned his eyes. He whispered, "You're not the only one who lost everything." Her presence touched his like a hand, trembling but sure. "No, we are not alone anymore." The words struck deep. For years, Ethan had carried his grief in silence. He had fought because it was all he had left, because the pain was too heavy to stop. And now, in this strange bond, he was no longer carrying it by himself. Lyra was there. She felt it, understood it, shared it. The light around them grew brighter, softer, wrapping them both like a blanket. Their hearts beat in rhythm, one echoing the other. For a moment, the war outside seemed far away. Ethan whispered, "This connection, it's more than just survival, isn't it?" Her reply was gentle, filled with quiet strength. "It is who we are. My kind was never meant to fight alone. We were meant to share, to carry each other. You and I, we are becoming one." The thought should have scared him, but instead it calmed him. For the first time since the war began, Ethan didn't feel broken. He felt whole. The silence stretched, heavy but peaceful. Then suddenly a deep rumble shook through her body. The ground outside trembled. Enemy signals stirred again. Lyra's voice sharpened. "They are coming back, stronger this time." Ethan opened his eyes, his jaw set. He had no weapon of his own, no armor but hers. Yet he didn't feel fear like before. He looked into the glowing streams and spoke firmly. "Then we fight again, not as two, but as one." Her pulse quickened with his, their energy weaving tighter, stronger. Together they prepared. And in that moment, Ethan knew the truth. This was no longer just survival. This was the beginning of something greater. Something that could change, not only their lives but the fate of both their worlds. The ground shook again. Smoke curled higher into the sky, and the air grew heavy with the sound of metal grinding against metal. Ethan could hear it clearly through Lyra's body, the rumble of approaching war machines. This time, it was not just a handful. It was an army. Inside her glowing chamber, Ethan steadied himself. His breath came quick, but his resolve was sharp. He felt Lyra's pulse beating against his own, faster now, touched with fear. "They're stronger," she whispered in his mind, her voice trembling. "If they surround us, we may not last." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we won't let them surround us. We fight, together." Her light warmed in response, brighter and steadier. Together. The battlefield outside roared to life as the first wave appeared. Towering machines with armored plating, their claws dripping with sparks, their weapons glowing hot. They moved in unison, their red eyes burning through the smoke. Through Lyra's body, Ethan stood tall. He no longer felt like a man wearing armor. He was the armor, he was the shield, he was the weapon. Every step they took as one. The first machine lunged. Its claw slashed through the air, but Ethan moved with Lyra, swift and sure. Their shared arm rose, glowing with power, and they struck. The blast of light ripped through the enemy's chest, sending it crashing to the ground. But another replaced it. And another. The fight became a storm. Blades clashed against glowing shields, beams of fire cut through smoke, and every strike sent tremors through both of them. When Lyra was hit, Ethan felt the burn tear across his own skin. When Ethan pushed forward, Lyra felt the strain in her bones. Their pain was shared, their exhaustion shared, yet neither gave in. They moved as one, striking faster, harder. Machine after machine fell, but with each victory, Ethan felt Lyra weakening. Her glow dimmed slightly, her voice inside him softer, as if every attack drained more of her life. "Lyra," he gasped between battles, his chest aching, "you're burning yourself out." Her reply came faint but steady. "I can hold longer, I must." He shook his head inside the chamber of light. "Not like this. If you push too far, you'll—" Her voice cut through him, sharp and desperate. "If I stop, you die. And I cannot let you die." Ethan froze at the words. For a heartbeat, he forgot the battle. His throat tightened. This alien girl, who had lost everything, was willing to give everything for him. He felt her truth in the way her presence trembled inside him. Not just duty, but something deeper. Another machine roared, striking them from behind. The blow sent them crashing into the dirt, sparks flying as the impact shook both their bodies. Pain flared sharp and unbearable. Ethan gritted his teeth, crying out, but he refused to let go. "Get up," he shouted, his voice raw. "We're not done yet." Lyra's glow flickered. I don't know if I can." Ethan pressed his hand against the glowing streams around him, pushing all his strength, all his will, into her. Then take my strength. Take all of it. I won't let this end here, not for you, not for me. For a moment, silence. Then, slowly, her light pulsed brighter, stronger. His will flowed into her, and her body rose again, shaking but unbroken. Together, they struck back. The machines surrounded them, but now every movement was sharper. Every strike carried not just power, but desperation, courage, and something close to love. Pain flooded them both, but neither cared. They were not fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting for each other. At last, after what felt like endless fire and steel, the battlefield fell silent again. The last machine crashed to the ground, its sparks fading into nothing. Ethan collapsed inside her, gasping, his body trembling from exhaustion. Lyra's voice came weakly, like a fading flame. We did it. He closed his eyes, tears stinging. Yes, but at what cost? Her light dimmed further, almost transparent. He could feel how much energy she had lost, how close she was to breaking. Fear gripped him, not for himself, but for her. Lyra, stay with me, please. Don't you dare leave me. Her voice quivered, soft as a breath. I'm here, as long as you need me. Ethan pressed his hand to the glowing streams, holding her as tightly as he could, though he knew it wasn't enough. The war outside was not over, but inside a war of another kind was being fought. The battle to keep her alive, to keep their bond from shattering. And in that moment, Ethan realized something. This was no longer just about humanity's survival, or even his own. This was about her, about keeping her light alive, even if it meant giving everything. The silence after the battle was heavy. Ethan leaned against the glowing streams inside Lyra's body, his breaths sharp and uneven. His muscles trembled and sweat ran down his face, though he knew much of the pain was not his alone. Lyra was fading. He could feel it. Her pulse, once strong and steady, now flickered weakly like a dying star. Lyra, he whispered, his voice shaking. You're pushing yourself too far. Her answer came softly, her tone faint but calm. I am still here. Do not fear. But Ethan could feel the truth. Every strike, every shield, every blast of light had burned away pieces of her. She had fought beyond her limits, carrying him when he would have fallen. He pressed his palm against the glowing veins, wishing he could give her back what she had given him. Before he could speak again, the ground shook. A shadow rose from the smoke. Ethan's heart froze. It was larger than anything they had faced before. A towering war machine, black as night, its armor gleaming with fire. Its claws were blades longer than a man's body, its core glowing with crimson light. The air around it seemed to bend from the heat of its power. Lyra's voice trembled. It is their commander, the one who leads them. The machine's steps cracked the earth, each one heavier than thunder. Ethan felt fear rush through his veins, sharp and cold. They were both broken, tired, nearly spent. Against this monster, how could they survive? He clenched his fists. We'll fight it, together like before. But Lyra's silence told him the truth. Finally, her voice came, soft as falling ash. No, Ethan. This one is different. My strength? It will not be enough. His chest tightened. Then we'll find another way. We always do. She hesitated, and then he felt it. The thought she was hiding, the decision she had already made. His throat tightened. No, don't you dare. Her voice shook, but carried a quiet resolve. If I release all the energy I have left, I can destroy it, but I will burn away. There will be nothing left of me. Ethan's body went cold. He shook his head violently. No, you can't do that. I won't let you. Ethan, her voice whispered in his heart, if I don't, you will die, and I cannot allow that. His hands slammed against the glowing walls of her body, his eyes burning with tears. You think I want to live if it means losing you? You think your life is worth less than mine? Don't you dare make this choice alone. For a moment, her presence trembled as if his words shook her. He felt her sorrow, her fear, her longing. Then she spoke again, softer than ever. You gave me something I thought I would never feel again, trust. You carried my pain as if it were your own. You reminded me that I am not alone. Let me give you something in return. Life. Ethan's voice broke, raw with desperation. No, Lyra. Please, don't do this. We can still fight. We can still win together. Just stay with me. But her glow was already shifting. The chamber around him brightened, the streams of light pulsing harder, faster, as if preparing for a final burst. The air grew hotter, humming with dangerous power. Lyra, stop, he shouted, tears running down his face. He slammed his fists against the streams, his whole body shaking. I can't lose you too, not after everything, please. Stay. Her voice came steady now, though filled with sadness. You will not lose me. As long as you live, I will live inside you. Carry me in your heart, Ethan. The giant machine roared, its claws raised high. The ground shook with its fury. Lyra's light surged brighter, blinding, wrapping Ethan in a cocoon of warmth. He felt her strength pouring out, flooding the battlefield. No! Ethan screamed, his voice breaking into the storm of light. Don't leave me! But her final whisper echoed in his chest, soft and eternal. Goodbye, my human. And then, the world exploded in light. When Ethan opened his eyes, there was no sound, only silence. The battlefield around him was broken. Ash floated in the air like falling snow. The ground was split open, scarred by fire and light. The massive war machine that had once towered before them was gone, reduced to twisted fragments of metal glowing faintly in the dust. But Lyra was gone too. Ethan stumbled forward, his legs weak, his chest heavy. The glowing streams, the warm chamber inside her body, the voice that once wrapped around his heart, all of it had vanished. He was standing alone in the ruins, the silence pressing down like a weight too heavy to carry. Lyra. His voice cracked, shaking. Lyra. No answer, only the whisper of wind over broken stone. He fell to his knees, his hands pressed against the dirt, trembling. His chest ached, not from wounds but from something deeper, sharper. The emptiness was unbearable. For so long, she had been inside. Him, her voice, her strength, her warmth. And now she was gone, leaving a hole that nothing could fill. Tears blurred his vision. He pressed his fists into the earth. Why did you have to do it? He whispered. His voice broke into a sob. We could have found another way. We always did. The grief poured out of him, heavy and raw. He thought of her laughter, the rare moments when she let her guard down. He thought of the way she called him my human, with a strange mix of wonder and affection. He thought of the way her presence made him feel, less broken, less alone. Now she was nothing but memory. But then, a faint warmth stirred in his chest. Ethan froze, his tears pausing mid-breath. He placed his hand over his heart, eyes wide. There. A flicker, gentle, small, but unmistakable. Her voice so soft it felt like it came from inside his very soul. I told you, as long as you live, I will live inside you. His breath caught. Lyra? No full answer came. No words. No long conversation, just a quiet pulse of warmth in his heart. A reminder. She was not truly gone. She had given her life to save him, but she had left a piece of herself behind. A bond that would never break. Ethan closed his eyes, the tears flowing again. But this time they were mixed with something else. Not only grief, but love. Gratitude. Slowly, he pushed himself to his feet. His body still ached. His soul still carried the wound of loss, but his heart burned with new strength. She had believed in him, trusted him, loved him in her own way. He couldn't let that gift be wasted.